provide change orders to that extent. So we tried to kind of pare down where we could. We discovered that they were willing to credit us back for the previous change order of $40,000, including for the work that they've already done on that, which was modeling. And as an offset to the additional work that is going to be required in the northern end of the county, they predominantly concentrated the stormwater work on the southern end of the county where most of the stormwater infrastructure is. And so after going back and forth on this, their original request for to complete the master plan was $75,000. They agreed to deduct $40,000 from that from the previous change order, and basically provide the work that they've done towards that change order free of charge, resulting in a net increase of $35,000. So this, while it shows a $75,000 change order, there is a $40,000 credit in there as well. But this will, and talking to Thomas and Hutton, they're confident we will get a 100% complete stormwater master plan with these changes involved.
We need to get one. We need to have a good $350,000.
That's right.
That's a lot of money. They ought to get it right before they come before us to start with.
And that's what I wanted to make sure. And I think part of the problem was, and we had huge deviations in the bids on these. And while two of them kind of interpreted the scope of this to say that there'd be predominant amount of work on the southern end with some minor work on the northern end. That wasn't the intent of the scope. And so the two of the bidders came in real low, and two of the bidders came in substantially higher because they had included all of that work on the northern end. Okay. So that being said, they've this will include all of the stormwater work on the northern end of the county into all the models, because you cannot separate a portion of the county from another portion of the county, because all the stormwater systems divided into the different watersheds are all connected. And so with that, they're going to get we should be able to wrap this up. Do you know when this was it October and end of October? We're going to have this all wrapped up in a package for presentation to y'all.
So you're confident we'll end up with a good plan, to a usable
Yeah,
plan
absolutely. That's we wanted to make sure that if
today.
they're not reducing any services as a result of this.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions, comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
A motion by Commissioner Burdette and a second by Commissioner Deloach. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being the ayes, carry. Now moving down to new business number 5. Consideration to approve change order number 2 for stage front for the AV upgrades at the judicial complex.
Yeah, I can go over this one too. This is we had used ARPA funding for the AV upgrades over at the courthouse. It was basically, it included both superior courtrooms, the state courtroom, the grand jury room was tied into it, and as was for speakers only was the community room. Well, because of the amount of cases they're dealing with there, we've had to convert the community room into a small courtroom. We've been able to do most of it in-house. or with minor cost. But this change, and it's a net change because we eliminated one item, is so that we can wire that additional courtroom up just like the other three courtrooms, two superiors in the state, so that they all have identical systems. When we started this project, nobody was thinking about converting the community room to a courtroom. We've done that. And so this will basically give it all of the AV services that the other three are getting.
When you say community room, that is not the grand jury room, is it?
No, so they're on opposite sides of each other, right? So you walk in to the main door, the grand jury room is to the left, and then the community room is a little bit smaller than the grand jury room. It's to the right.
Gotcha.
And we need the grand jury room, so we couldn't mess with it. So the community room was converted to court space.
Gotcha. Okay. Questions, comments?
Your motion to approve order number 1.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Loper and a second by Commissioner Deloach. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being the ayes carry. Moving on to item number 6 in new business, consideration to approve a form for a fire inspection checklist to coincide with Part 2, Appendix C, Article 7, Administration and Enforcement of the Effingham County Code of Ordinances. That's Mr. Candler.
I'm Steve Candler, Director of Development Services. So in your packet, you have a form that Liz Sept has created for commercial and industrial fire inspections. And what she is asking for is actually Article 8. I know on the agenda it says 7, but I think it's 8. The administration and enforcement section of our zoning ordinance. That the initial inspection, there is no cost associated with that. It's just the reinspection. There'll be a cost associated with that, and we approved reinspection fees about 2 months ago. So those are the ones that would apply. So the initial one, she goes out there, she asks them what to do, and then she comes out there and gives them a certain period of time to do it, just like our building inspections do. And then hopefully they're compliant. And if they are, there's no charge to that. If she has to come back out, then it's that level of reinspection fees that applies. So, but most have been well received, and she's been very patient with them because we know it's more of an education than anything else. So they're getting used to this.
Questions, comments? Motion?
Make a motion, we approve alternative. Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Deloach and a second by Commissioner Floyd. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise, none being, ayes carry.
Thank you.
Thank you. That'll take us to new business number 7, consideration to approve an updated T-Splost 2023 list to correct clerical error. I think
Yes.
we had a handout on that.
Yeah, it's just in the process of moving stuff from a spreadsheet to the document for approval. They had Conway Road was what was priced out to be resurfaced, and it was incorrectly put in there as Noel C. Conway Road, and this just corrects that error.
Which is a state route.
Yeah, which is state route. So
And that's pretty much the only.
that's the only correction.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Floyd and a second by Commissioner Burdette. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise, none being, ayes carry unanimous. With that, we are done with regular business. aside from, want to go into commission reports?
Yeah, I can say having compiled the T-Splosh list, we are in the process right now of updating the GIS, what we called our T-Splosh Explorer in 2020. We have been working with the cities on this, and just so everyone knows the total process, I believe at the next meeting, we will be having the call for referendum. Is that right, Lee? Yeah. But Rincon, Springfield, and Guyton have all approved the IGA and submitted their lists. We are integrating those lists as best we can onto the map. We're also including on that map the 2020 T-Splosh projects, making sure they're all updated, including the cities, to show what has been completed. We expect that to be ready by the end of the week. We will be getting together with staff as well to go over the action items from the retreat, and we should have a schedule. Some of them will show up on the next meeting, those items, the more simple ones, but then at the next meeting, we'll have a schedule for implementation of the process for some of the items we discussed. That, and just if you're wondering why there's a bunch of exposed wires here, it is because we got hit by lightning and it took out several cameras. We've managed to get some of the cameras from the other rooms to get us operational, but hopefully by the time we have our next meeting, they'll be we'll have everything back to the way it should be.
Speaking on the master list with the county and the cities, are we going to make sure that the chamber gets a copy of the final?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure we're just I'll make sure we do a press release that show every all lists combined so that folks can see them all in one place. That's when we will do that press release in line with announcing the availability of the website as well. So folks could see it. So give it to about maybe Thursday, maybe Friday to wrap that up.
Talking about the lightning strike, are we still looking at putting a monitor up here so the speaker can?
Yes, and so we did. There's a laptop there.
There's a monitor on the podium. It's touch screen. Okay.
All right.
And they can actually see it. Okay.
Oh, that'd be
Okay.
Great.
Good deal.
Good. So that's been taken care of.
Okay.
One thing works in here. That's all I got.
I had, and Kristen can speak to this. Oh, a person lives over in Meldon on Mulgy Avenue, I think it is. They're the only ones that use the road, and they've been asking, I mean, Kristen's going to take care of it, but they're actually considering if they're the only ones using it, if they can have the road for their personal driveway. Now, I hadn't looked at it myself. Kristen, you can speak to.
Yes.
My only issue with them allowing us even considering this is nobody else is going to need it in the future. I don't know how it ended up being a county road, but
It used to be a county road, and pretty much the entire rest of the road has been abandoned previously. And that was just the only section that goes to their house that was left. All the houses further down behind it have another road to go off of. And then on the other side, they have a paved road to go off of. We were going to go out there and try to grade it out. Actually didn't even know that it was there because it looks just like a personal driveway, but it is on the GIS map. But it is just basically the length of someone's personal driveway, and it's been abandoned for quite some time. The rest of the roads, you can see where there used to be a little bit that was abandoned, but there's fences and everything that have been put up across it.
it's family property. She inherited it and decided to build a house back there. But I don't know if they want to move forward with taking the road. I don't know that we've given the road up, but if
You just
they
have to
want
go
it
through
bad
the
enough-
abandonment process, public hearings.
But anyway, I just
I
want
mean,
to bring
that's-
that to y'all's attention that there is interest in that. Thank you, Kristen. That's all I have.
Just had a question. How can we get the planning and zoning agendas ahead of time? Who would be responsible for that?
Oh, I thought we were sending those out. Were we?
No, still not getting them.
The planning and zoning board agendas. As soon as they're available, we used to send them out to the board.
Well, they're probably available on they're not?
They're not,
On the
I've checked the
Municode meetings?
websites before.
Well, we have realized, and we're trying to get caught up on the website. Because they were not getting posted
Right.
on they were getting advertised but not put on the internet system. So we've started doing that, but it might have been just simply a drop ball with some staff changes to make sure that as soon as the agenda is ready and it gets posted online, you all get emailed on it.
That'd be great. I appreciate it. That's all I got.
Commissioner Deloach.
I'll just say, thank you to our public safety folks, public works. I don't know why every time I'm talking, I think I just. It's a part of the wire. Okay. So it seemed like every time we had the call, it was very beneficial, very informative. It seems like now, talking to Chief Hodges before the meeting. Now after going through this, I guess unfortunately so many times, it seems to be pretty fluid, pretty smooth now on all the updates. And it seems like everybody, is pretty well in sync. So I'm just glad we missed the win, but thanks to everybody involved with that. That's all I got.
I agree.
Well, if I can respond to that really quick, I can say that I think we had the adequate amount of folks in the EOC. We didn't overstaff it. We could pull people in there at the last minute if we needed to. But the one benefit of this, even though it was kind of just a close call for us, is that it can be used. We don't actually have to do a practice run or what's that? Yeah, the exercise. That's right. So this will count towards that. So it, anytime you can get a real world experience, it's better than a training exercise.
Especially a close call that really
You're right.
doesn't turn into anything. Commissioner Loper doesn't have anything. We have executive session. Y'all like to break until 6 o'clock? All right.
Do we have to? Or can-
Well, we can't continue until 6. But we don't need to officially recess or anything, do we? Okay. All right. We're gonna have a break until 6 o'clock.
That's just right. Thank you. Oh.
Do-do-do-do-do.
Can we start without her? We good?
Jim, y'all ready? Dave, you good?
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's planning board presentments. We are going to move item number 8 and 9 quickly. We're going to move it up to the first item for expediency on that item. Y'all ready to go ahead and start? Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and start with item number 8, which is the planning board recommends approving an application by George L. Oglesby to rezone 3 of 10.85 acres located at 8869 Highway 21 North from AR1 to AR2 to allow for the creation of a home site, map number 229, parcel number 1A in the 3rd district. Snanigan?
Yes, the applicant is requesting to create a 3-acre home site for a family member. The planning board has recommended approval with the condition that the 10.85 acres not be further subdivided. And the applicant is here this evening if you have any questions.
What would the reasoning be?
Yeah, this is a public hearing, so if anyone would like to speak for this item, you can come forward and speak. Anyone here to speak against this item? Okay, with that, I'll close the public hearing and we can discuss.
Does the applicant have an issue? Would not be being able to split it again?
The applicant does not have an issue for further subdivision.
What was the stipulation on that or the?
They can't create another lot after this lot.
Yes, this item was very similar to one that you heard last month,
Okay,
wherein there was concern about further subdivision.
okay.
I ain't proud of easement, you know.
How can we make that a stipulation? How can? I don't think we can legally tell someone they can't ever further subdivide their property. I don't know how you do that.
That is a condition that we have put on previous rezonings, that there is a precedence for where there is concern that there might be further subdivision that would then change the land use and character of the area.
But if they wanted to, they could come back and still apply.
Yeah, no, public
We do
hearing,
hear
that's
the
what I'm
public
getting
hearing
at. Yeah,
and
It's similar to rezoning, just a similar hearing to remove a condition.
okay. I think because the remaining parent parcel is going to remain R1, correct? AR1. So it couldn't be, it would have to be rezoned.
Basically.
If that were I could understand it if that was also AR2, if they were both, because that would be a staff level subdivision potentially.
Right,
Correct.
because the 3 acres could then in theory be re-subdivided.
Correct.
and we all-
Correct. But this would require a rezoning anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, on this one. That's just my opinion.
I'll make a motion if you ready to entertain one. Okay. Looking at the parcel, since there is highway frontage, And the other remaining parcel would have to be, have to go through a public hearing. I don't want to put a stipulation on there. So I'm just going to make a motion that we grant the subdividing of the 3-acre lot to AR2.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Deloach and a second by Commissioner Burdette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. With that, the motion carries unanimous. Thereby, we will move into new business number 9, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by George L. Oglesby. I think we can on this one.
It's a
Oh,
change, stipulations.
that's a Stephanie question.
Well, we changed it, what they.
I
was
thought we
asking.
could if we removed.
It was unanimous.
The planning board had a recommendation for a stipulation, and that stipulation was removed in our motion. Are we able to proceed to second reading if we remove a stipulation?
And the motion was unanimous.
It was
Voted on
unanimous.
again.
We can proceed. All right. All right. So we will proceed to number 9, consideration to approve the second reading of an application by George L. Oglesby to rezone 3 of 10.85 acres located at 8869 Highway 21 North from AR1 to AR2 to allow for the creation of a home site, map number 229, parcel number 1A in the 3rd district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Deloach, a second by Commissioner Loper. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being, the ayes carry and approved second reading. All right, with that, we'll double back up and start over at number 1. New planning board item number 1. The planning board recommends approving an application by MRD Partners LLC / Nolan Andrews as agent for Ronald V. Roberts and Barry Chinkin to rezone 18.5 acres located at 4828, 4838, and 4884 McCall Road from R2 and AR1 to I1 to allow for warehouse development, map number 450D, parcel number 4A, 4B, and 5 in the 2nd district.
The applicant is proposing to rezone to I1 in order to develop a small flex building, approximately 156,000 square feet. The site is already bordered by the Gateway Industrial Park, currently zoned industrial. And the southeast boundary is along Schweikhofer Creek, which has been sort of acting as a natural boundary for industrial zoning. Multiple adjacent residents across McCall have written in support of the project, and they in fact intend to rezone to industrial in the future. Both staff and planning board recommend approval.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for this item?
Thank you, sit-in chairman, Kiefer. My name is CJ Chance, Hussey Gay Bell. I just want to do a brief introduction, and then I think we probably have some comments from the public as well. Good introduction on what the project is. I think one thing or a few things that we want to mention about the project is in the past few years, the average size warehouse that has been constructed in Effingham County has been 575,000 square feet. There's a market that is being missed from your smaller, whether they be logistics companies or sales companies or whatever. There's a market that is being missed. This property is currently, if you consider the west, which is Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub, the north, which is Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub, and then immediately across the street behind a few residential parcels is also Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub. It is completely surrounded by industrial. Swire Creek makes a good barrier for a transition. The transition would consist of much smaller facilities than what is going into Savannah Gateway. Right now, Savannah Gateway, the smallest building is a little over 200,000 square feet, and then it jumps up to 300, then 380, then 900,000, then 800,000. And then there are plans for another 800,000 on the west side, which will eventually go over Effingham Parkway. Just to kind of give you an update on where things sit, I think the county knows where things sit with Effingham Parkway and the construction of it. As far as Gateway Parkway and Savannah Gateway, and county manager can attest to this. We have numerous calls and meetings, coordination calls. They have constructed a little over a half a mile of Gateway Parkway so far. They have an approval to cross Norfolk Southern. We have in design now, which will be submitted to the county in the next couple of weeks. The road going all the way from Norfolk Southern to Effingham Parkway. The idea is that once Effingham Parkway is finished, we will be there for them to connect to and be ready for them to connect to it. A few other things that I want to point out. We're nearly 1,000 feet from the corner of our building to any residential structure. There are some shops, sheds, outbuildings, that kind of stuff that are closer, but to a residential structure, we're nearly 1,000 feet from the corner of our building. The total tract is 17 acres, of which about 10 or to 11 will be developed. Of that area, only 4 acres will have to be cleared. So the rest of it is already cleared. We also have support, and this is verbal. I don't have an email or anything that I can give to the county, but we do have support from BRO, from Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub, and support from Effingham County Development Authority. And the support is because it is a market that's not being met, and there are no anticipations of meeting that market demand on Savannah Gateway. So that's just kind of a high level introduction, considering that this is a public hearing. I would like to have the option to come back up and address anything that's brought up. So thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for the matter again? Any others? All right, with that, anyone wishing use, okay. So, if you just state your name in the microphone.
Good evening. I'm Nolan Andrews. I'm here as the agent for Mr. Roberts and Mr. Schenken. Mr. Roberts has owned his property since about 2004. He does have 3 tenants still living in the property, but we want to give them 6 months free rent after the rezoning to find a place to go and afford a move. Mr. Schenken moved to his property in 2018, and I'll let him tell you he's not looking towards retirement there. And the only three homes that are within 1,000 feet of this are the 3 across the street, all of whom support this project.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone who would is it speaking for the matter? Okay, sure. Thank you.
I'm Barry Chenkin. I am one of the participants in this endeavor. And I do feel for my neighbors. When I moved here just a short time ago, McCall Road was not what it is today. We didn't have a railroad across the street from us with engines humming night and day, because you can't shut those things down. We didn't have bro bumping cars constantly, because it's my understanding that's how they make their money. Because every time they bump a car, they get cash. What a good deal for them, but what a lot of noise for us. They promised only 10 trucks an hour through McCall Road. Well, we know that's a lie, but I haven't seen the county or anybody put any type of information available to us that says this is how many. There are no lines across the road, that track how many vehicles go down McCall Road. It's been a real nightmare for us. Then when they went and graded the road and they put in the little orange markers and they graded the road, I have a dually. I can't get down McCall Road without making a hell of a lot of noise. So it's been very frustrating. When we first moved here, that was going to be our appropriate piece of property for us to come. It was the last thing we were going to buy. My wife put a boatload of plants in the ground thinking we were not going to move. And now I've got to tell her that I can't handle the traffic. We can't get out of our driveway when they complete the circle. I can't imagine the truck traffic and the people trying to get in and out of Blandford Elementary School like they're doing now to try to get in and out of our driveway when my wife tries to get up to the school to go to work. People talk about animals and the animals being displaced. We had chickens on our property. We've had ducks on our property that we raise for a living. I can tell you that the amount of additional animals that have shown up on our property, deer looking for food, raccoons looking for eggs, the hawks have had a field day now that they've cleared out all this land, and they stopped bothering my birds. So I'm kind of happy about that. So the hawks have gone on to something else. But where it is that we thought we were going to be able to spend the rest of our time isn't going to happen. Not with industrial clearly wrapping completely around us. And again, I truly empathize with my neighbors, but the amount of space that this developer has taken and put aside so that there isn't a major impact, in my opinion, on the folks on Oak Street, they've set back quite a ways. And I applaud them for doing that. They maybe didn't have to. They could ask for easements and they could ask for the 25-foot easement because they didn't do that. And for that, I'm very proud of them for having done that and coming back away from my neighbors on Oak Street. So for as much as we don't want to leave, we don't feel as though Bro has given us any choice and they forced it out. And quite honestly, I'm surprised they're not here asking and wanting to help, because I was one of their biggest pain in the butts. When they were lighting fires across the street and the smoke was blowing into the school, it was me who called and complained. So they're not real happy with me. And I think they got to be real ecstatic that I'm not staying to cause them any more grief and aggravation about the truck traffic, the pollution that they've caused us. And again, I feel bad for the neighbors on Oak Street, but I think things are far enough away that I'm comfortable knowing that they'll be okay. And thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Any other speaking for this rezoning?
Good evening. I'm Ron Roberts. Glad to be here before y'all today to share, my interest. But first of all, go back to the logistics building that was built in the industrial park area. And when I first saw that, I said, golly, it won't be long. We'll be all industrial around here. Well, that was a couple of years ago. And then as Barry has mentioned some of this, they started building a road, dirt road to start with. And I said, looks like might be a little bit more industrial going on. I heard they were going to put storage buildings down that road. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But it was looking more and more like, well, it's fixing to be industrial all around us, no doubt. And then I think Barry mentioned the railroad track. Yes, it looks like it's going to be industrial. All the rail that's coming in and out of there now. And all of my properties are actually, I got 4 instead of 3, but all of them, they deal with it more than I do. So I'm the landlord of the property. But then when they built that road and now they're paving it, I said, it looks like it's going to be industrial. And then, now this is the catcher for me. When they put a roundabout right in the driveway where one of my tenants gets onto his property that he rents from me, I said, that's a little much. Who's controlling all of this, I mean, it started with the industrial park, but it seemed like the industrial park is moving us out, at least me. That's the way I feel. And I like Barry. I understand could be some opposition for that kind of thing, but I don't have a border. My property is right next to that road being built. And I just said to you that roundabout goes in. People are going to have to stop in the middle of the roundabout to get into that driveway. So somebody's going to say, maybe y'all, well, you need to move your driveway. really? So anyway, it seems to be that any of y'all probably all too young to understand what happened in Port Wentworth. They started with a little bit of building, and the next thing you know, that whole Port Wentworth in that one area was swallowed up by what was going on at the ports. And I saw the same things happening here, but not having a buffer, understanding that now this road should help that they're building, it should help some of the neighbors and some of the residents that are maybe being opposed to it. It should help cut down the traffic for trucks going in and out, but it's not going to help my property. Because that property is going to be, it's going to be filled. And I've been there when the trucks are coming out and the trucks are going out early in the morning, late in the afternoon. And no matter how this turns out, it seems like to me, this area is ripe for being approved as an industrial zoning. That's not for selfish reasons. That's just obvious reasons to me. And the other things that it has created. And I appreciate your thoughts of the various comments that have been made. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. Any other speaking for this rezoning? Okay, with that, anyone wish to speak against this rezoning?
Good evening. I'm Mary Godlove. I am one of the residents on Oak Street who is, and frankly, my topic sentence, my concern is, where is the water going to go? Drainage. Could you go to the other map for me, please? I sent Katie these maps today, and I wish I had a little bit better resolution, but it's not there. In this particular map, this is a topographic map that shows lines of elevation. If you look at the very bottom left corner, that is where, let me see if I can see it. That is where Swigoffer Creek, Swigoffer Creek, well, comes down. Say again? Why, thank you. Why, thank you. Okay, but am I gonna make it move around if I do that? Help, I need technical assistance. Can we zoom that up?
This is why I didn't want to touch screen. Thanks, telling you.
At least it was you, not me.
Can you put your thing on there? Your pointer?
Yeah.
Just put your pointer on it.
Do I need to move for you?
I just couldn't see it. You should be able to.
Okay, Swigoffer Creek runs right in here. The brown line that you see just above my red line is a elevation line. And on this map, the key says there's 10 feet of elevation change from one brown line to another. All right. Always on this kind of map where you have anything that point like this, that's pointing uphill. So Swigoffer Creek on this map runs to the northeast. All right. If you could go to the next map for me, please. Oh. Okay, now on this map, you can see Swigoffer Creek running right here, and this is not touching. I just did something. Okay, we're back to this. This is a US Geographical Survey map that I found. This particular map does a better job of showing what's going on in our area, elevation wise, but it does not give me the actual distance between elevation lines as to how much is there. Should I be able to draw on this now, sir? All right, so Swigoffer Creek is right here. McCall Road is here. Oak Street is here. All these little, looks like little sprigs of grass sticking up, that's the symbol on these maps for wetland. As we were told by the gentleman here at the last meeting, that area cannot be developed, and that's a good thing. Mother Nature has provided us with that wetland, excuse me, in order to hold water when we have heavy rain events. I have lived in my residence on Oak Street, which is right about there. I'm the third residence in from McCall Road. I've lived there for 35 years. In 35 years, we have had Swigoffer Creek, that whole wetland area fill once with a hurricane, once with just about a 3-day continuous rain, to where it actually overflowed Swigoffer Creek onto my property, joining with my pond, which is at that back line. I just have a bankment. I do have a residence back there that's only 50 yards from Swigoffer Creek. There's only about 10 feet of elevation between the creek and where that residence is. My question is, what is being planned to handle all this water that will not be able to soak into the ground once there's warehouses there? I understand completely. Mr. Chenkin and I have been good neighbors. His ducks that he referred to have hopped his fence and come and visited my pond where he's in my contacts. I call him and say, hey, your ducks are here. He comes over, he gets his, with his dually, and he gets his duck. The problem isn't that there's no buffer there. The problem is there's not enough when you add even more concrete. I understand the idea that, excuse me, we need some smaller warehouse space for people, for business. We're in a growth corridor. I just don't think this is the place for it. Are there site plans? Is there anything that's been drawn up that the public can see showing that there's been forethought as to where is this water going to go? How's it going to be handled? So if this construction occurs, we don't flood out. Because although I probably have, excuse me, the closest actual residence, everyone up and down Oak Street is in the same boat, because when you understand how the elevation works, or in this case, we're so flat, doesn't. Once the brim, once we reach that brim, it's going to come straight on up. It doesn't take an awful lot of more water. So is there anything out there that has addressed this problem?
Well, it's a public hearing, but I'll speak, and staff can probably chime in a little better on the technicality of a lot of the design is going to come late because of the cost associated. You're not going to go through a full design without a rezoning. I don't know if staff can explain that.
Well, I mean, we essentially with the way that you're going to have to do this is there's going to be guidelines that are basically set by the Georgia Soil and Water with regards to stormwater and erosion. And so even if this were to get approved, they would have to prove to the state that no additional water would be flowing off the property after development than what's happening now before development. And so, one of the ways they do that is obviously through detention ponds. But they would have to do the engineering to prove that to Georgia Soil and Water to get a permit to even push one shovel full of dirt on it. But that's kind of the way the process goes on it, is that that's a very expensive process, and they don't want to have to go through it to find out that the property doesn't in turn get zoned properly. So they essentially get the rezoning first, and then they go in and they show that evidence to the state that there will be no additional water flow off of the property to neighboring properties than previously exists. So they've got to do a before and after analysis of it. I don't know if that provides clarity on it, but
At the same rate.
at the same rate.
Same
That's right.
rate, you know.
I understand, so that
Yeah.
we would
That's it.
have no additional.
That's correct, because there is water obviously that flows off it. There's a creek, right? I mean, it's so, but they have to show that and I wasn't using the rate. They have to show that the rate that water flows into that creek does not get increased. And like I said, the way, obviously, if you put additional impervious surface there, then you've got to somehow mitigate that additional impervious surface. So they've got to do necessary stormwater retention, create the on-site storage of stormwater with the pond, and all those measures that they have to show to make that case. And I think the engineer would probably do a better job at explaining this than me, but I just wanted to go over the process with you. That it's not just because it gets rezoned does not mean what they show on that piece of paper is what the state's going to approve, because they've got to make that case.
In other words, although it is being rezoned as it is stated, with the idea of development for warehouses,
Mhm.
these small warehouses that the engineer has spoken about, if they cannot satisfy the commission, state code requirements, Corps of Engineer, whoever it may be, that they can handle the excess water that will no longer soak into the ground, then what they were planning to use the land for, even though it's zoned industrial, may not be used that way, correct?
Correct. They may have to build a bigger pond, and so which could mean a smaller building, or they may have tough time showing that that they'll have adequate space on there at all. So there are mechanisms they can use to try and reduce the amount of runoff, but they're going to have to make that case to the state to get approval.
Okay, my fear is, I guess, that there are mistakes that are made and have been made. I used to own a townhouse behind the Sonic in Rincon,
Okay.
and it was one of the original townhomes that was built there. We had to sell it in an as-is, completely open acknowledgement of the fact that once they built the other properties in that area, apparently there was omissions, oversights in the site planning, because every time there was a good rain, the property flooded.
Right.
I distinctly remember my husband spending Christmas Day with my tenant with the shop vac trying to get the water under control. So I have what I feel are legitimate concerns.
Sure.
And if it's not zoned industrial, then the what ifs are gone.
Mhm.
So I would request that this not occur.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any others wish to speak against this rezoning?
My name is Jimmy Blake. I live at 135 Magnolia Drive off of Goshen Road. I used to sit on my back porch and drink a cup of coffee in the mornings. Everything's peaceful and quiet. Now I have to listen to a steady roar from that darn vacuum pump over there that's sucking that PE out of them railroad cars over there. I've been over there twice, talked to them folks about trying to quieten it down, but no, they ain't gonna do that. They don't give a dadgum how much noise they make. You let this fella rezone this. Now, he says he ain't gonna take in the whole cut down all the timber in the whole 18 acres, but he's gonna, if things go good, a year from now, he'll liable to want to take them down more. Well, I'm gonna have to listen to more noise. These zoning laws were put in years ago. For what reason?
Mhm.
What were they put in place for?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
There are a myriad of reasons.
Put
why
in to
it's not- yeah.
protect the people's living areas.
Sure.
So that they won't, so things that's undesirable won't infringe on them, you know? So why are we changing all these? I mean, you already got an industrial park over there, thousands of acres that you're building warehouses on, and they're not putting anything in place to protect around it, surrounding areas. There's no berms. There's nothing to make them, you know, live by the code of silence or try to quieten things down.
Mhm.
Now, I know what Mr. Floyd's thinking.
You don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I do. If you don't like what's going there, own it. Well, if I had his money, I'd own it,
Easy now.
but sorry about that.
That's okay.
But I mean, you got to draw the line in the sand somewhere.
Sure.
I mean, why devalue my property to increase his property?
Mhm.
Thanks for listening.
No, valid.
Okay.
Thank you. Any more wish to speak against this rezoning?
I'm Richard Sumner. I live at 110 Magnolia. I live behind that area. And I'm against what any more warehouses. He said warehouse is fine, but that's more traffic and everything else. I'm against it.
Okay. Right. Any others before I close the public hearing?
Good evening. My name is Susan Mahaney. I live at 120 Maple Drive, around the corner from Oak. And I can tell you where some of the hawks are. They're in my yard. Because of all the industrial areas, now I have a double fenced yard and I have to walk my dog on a leash in my backyard because the hawks are attacking her.
Hmm.
We didn't have that problem. We've been there over 40 years. And with everything being cut down, those animals have nowhere to go. So there is a difference for not just the people on Oak, but the whole area. That was a beautiful residential area. And now when I moved up, McCall was dirt. I had horses. I would ride them up and down. Now the traffic is unreal. We're going to have to find another way to get to church on Sundays because of the semis coming and going. We'll have to go to 21.
Hmm.
So I'm against it.
Okay.
My husband is too.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, with that, I'm gonna close the public hearing and yeah, I was gonna see if we had any specific, before CJ, if anything, okay.
I can answer their questions and then I
Okay,
can stay up here and
sure.
answer your questions as well. So I would like to address the folks who came up, Ms. Godlow, I think is what she. Godlow, okay. So to kind of go along with county manager explanation, we have 3 permitting entities that we have to go through with respect to stormwater. We have the state NPDES, we have Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission. And then we also have Effingham County, which Effingham County utilizes a third-party engineer. So we have to provide a design that, and he's exactly right, that shows that the peak rate does not increase. So how does that work? Well, you build the ponds and you have the impervious area where naturally it can't infiltrate anymore, correct? So you build the ponds, you put a control structure in them, you hold the water back such that it never goes, the peak rate never increases. But it goes a step further than that. We also have water quality that we have to address. So we have to treat all the water that goes through that pond or comes off of our site before it is ever discharged. So you also asked the question, I think this kind of got answered, are the site plans to show how this is thought out. Typically the process is you get rezoned and then you go into engineering. Now, once you go into engineering, then it has to be reviewed again by staff and by the third-party engineer so that we're designing something that we say works. And then the third-party engineer either agrees or they comment on it and we have to address those items. That third-party engineer, their sole interest in reviewing plans is for the benefit of the county. And when I say the benefit of the county, what I mean is, are we meeting the county's ordinances that are in place to protect citizens? What the purpose of Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission is to protect against erosion control. So we have a process that takes about 60 days to go through, where we have to prove to the state, and these are reviewed in Athens for the entire state. And that process is to make sure that we have all the best management practices in place so that sediment does not leave the site. So you're talking about silt fence, check dams, construction exits, that kind of stuff. One comment was, if not zoned industrial, the what ifs are gone. I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, there is potential that it could come in and be zoned for something else, and the what ifs would still be there. So I think what you meant, if the use didn't change, the what ifs are gone, but it's not that the industrial actually affects that. It's that the use is changing. To Mr. Jimmy Blakey, I believe is his name. I can assure you that it can't be expanded in the future. And there are a few reasons. The ordinance allow or stipulates what the buffers have to be for certain circumstances. We have wetlands that would have to be impacted. Right now, just to give you a ballpark estimate, wetlands cost about $90,000 a credit, and it takes about 6 credits per acre to impact them. So there's nothing financially, financially responsible to do in a certain circumstance like this. Furthermore, you have flood zones. So flood zones, anytime you build in the flood zone, you have to mitigate. What that means is, if we put a spoonful of dirt into the flood zone, we have to take a spoonful of dirt out. I think you mentioned how flat it is. So every spoonful you take out fills up with water most of the time. So that's not a reasonable.
You boys got a way of getting around that stuff.
Okay.
What's going on down in the Goshen Swamp?
I'm not working in Goshen Swamp, so. To Mr. Richard Sumner and Susan Haney, I feel like the biggest concern was more traffic. And I started this off talking about Gateway Parkway and Effingham Parkway. My personal belief is that the traffic will decrease on McCall Road once those two are open. And the reason that I think that is because in a logistics-based world that we live in, because we are so close to the port, I think that logistics companies and truck drivers do find the least resistive route in any chance that they're able to, so that they can deliver the product. I don't think that any of these truck drivers want to come down McCall Road, to be honest with you. I don't think they want to go down downtown Rankin. I don't think they want to go down 21 through Port Wentworth through 95 and then on to the port. I think what they would rather do is hit Effingham Parkway and go to Jimmy DeLoach Parkway, where they're a mile from the gate at the port. So I truly believe, and there's no way that I can prove this at this time, but I truly believe that the truck traffic will decrease drastically when those two things are open. I'm not sure what the date is, Tim. It's sometime in late 24.
What the
Parkway?
right now it's July 2025.
Okay, July 2025. So realistically speaking, if this building were to go into construction today, it takes 12 months, but I've got about a 6 to 9 month permit process before I can even start. So that tells you how that lays out. I think I've addressed the questions that came up. And I do want to point back to for Mr. Chinkin and Mr. Roberts and to their neighbors across the street. They're surrounded. And if they can't zone it to something, then you essentially render their property as devalued because it cannot be further used for what it's being used, or in my opinion, other uses. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions from the commission.
I have a simple question. You know, these larger warehouses, we know that's going to be large truck traffic, but these are going to be smaller tenants. Can you address what type of possible business would take this? Is it going to be large trucks with containers, or is it going to be more like maybe U-Haul sized trucks that
it could be both.
Drive on that McCall Road anyway?
So panel trucks,
You know what I mean? Panel trucks,
trucks, they do frequent smaller distribution centers, but it is laid out so that you could have containerized trucks as well. Now, what I'll tell you is on a 1 million square footer, you probably have about, I don't know, 150 dock positions, and you probably have 200 trailer drop locations. This facility, I think we had 30 dock positions. They won't all get built. They'll be built with some knockouts and some steps to get down. And then you only have 18 trailer drops. So to give you an idea of the scale of the volume of traffic, maybe that could help some. A facility like this, you on the worst day, you'd see 20 trucks a day on a facility like this. I really think it's more like 10. And then most of your traffic's going to be the employees coming and going.
TJ, I'm curious as to why this is an added value to the industry, being 150,000 square feet. What are you going to do to guarantee that there are going to be 3 tenants in here instead of one just
Not going
coming
to
in?
guarantee that. I can't guarantee that.
So then
Because
that's
it could be,
a non-issue then. I
It-
mean, it's
no, I don't think it's a non-issue. It could be a
because it's
small.
not feeding the small companies like you guys are talking about.
Well, it's like 25% of the average size. Of
Yeah,
your
we also got
warehouses in town.
50,000 square foot on Old Augusta. There's several of them with 150s. I mean, I just don't see that argument. I'm in the business and I just, another big
I'm
conglomerate
not
come
going to
in here.
guarantee that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not the developer, so
Right. I mean, you guys made that point earlier. I was wondering how we could assure that, but
I think market dictates that.
Right.
Personally, I think that you could certainly have divisible facilities, but you could have a smaller 3PL that uses
you
this entire
could,
facility.
but then you might not.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's my whole
So
point.
I
You know,
can't
and
guarantee
I
that.
say that just because I asked the IDA to start working on things like that. And of course, my concerns many times about the small guy never getting a break. 'Cause
Yeah,
we don't,
yeah. And a lot, well, I wouldn't say a lot of them, but some of them are existing industries that exist here that need a new place to go so that they can expand their facilities.
The back corner back here, it doesn't actually catch the gateway.
No, sir, there's about a 2 acre, is it about 2 acre parcel that Bro still, acre and a half that Bro still, well, I say Bro is technically the IDA, but of course we know that Bro contains control over it. I will tell you that the brokers and the developers are having conversations with Bro in the near future to discuss opportunities there. But at this point, there's nothing that can be guaranteed with that.
I was just thinking hypothetically, what would concern me, and there may be ways of, and I'm not saying I'm I'm still just weighing it all out. I'm looking at all the angles where you could potentially have a situation where obviously McCall Road to 21 is not going to be a truck route. That's quickly, hopefully going away within the next year.
That's our
year.
goal.
So,
And does it by default, once, because I think your ordinance says you have to go from your point of origin to the nearest state route, I think.
correct. And that's what would be a concern.
Right.
Because theoretically, the argument, that's obviously the quickest route to a state route, which would
But
counter
certainly-
what,
Certainly, we would allow Effingham Parkway to carry trucks.
sure,
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's where
Yeah.
we want them to go.
Yeah. And I'm not sure our ordinance says state route or truck route.
Truck route.
I'm not sure. So, just a concern of mine, of how, I don't know if that, how that would play into it.
Right, so what would you suggest in that case?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
If I could speak, or
Oh,
should we
sure,
close the
sure.
hearing
Yeah.
first or should?
I'm
or
sorry?
Should we close the?
I've
hearing
closed the
before?
public hearing.
Okay. I got several concerns. One is everybody that's came up here have talked about how bad and awful and a nightmare this has been for them, but they want to increase the thing. They want to increase the truck traffic. That is the nightmare that's created for them. So I'm a little confused on that. How is more truck traffic gonna help your neighbors? It's not. One big concern for me is the school. I've got too much traffic there now. We have plans to make a difference there in the future with the parkway. And one of those plans is to get trucks off of McCall. So hopefully there's some help with that. But in the meantime, we got school buses We got a lot of people not represented that would love to speak about this, and they take their kids to school every morning. You know, they're not here, because they don't get notified. So this place would be probably filled up completely with people trying to get their kids to school and get almost ran over by a truck every morning. You know, we're going to make that worse. With that said, I mean, you guys are right. This is a real weird piece of property in a strange place. It could be multifamily instead of this, could be something else. But to be this, and we may want to consider a table, and I'll throw some of these points out there to you guys. We've in the past, every time we have something going up against residential, we require a berm, 150 feet. You get a break on the total buffer area. I know you got wetlands there. Hopefully our newest interpretation of wetlands is going to help out in that area. So I'd like to see, if we're going to do something like this, protect those residents on Oak Street with a berm. The noise is awful. They hear it all the way. I mean, I get complaints continuously from the noise studies we get, and we've gotten recently. Berms make a massive difference in that. And that's one way we can do that to protect the residents on Oak Street. The second thing, and just as significant, is how to access. You know, if we're going to cut the truck traffic off, we need access to the gateway. Without that, you're going to put trucks right on McCall, right there at the place Mr. Roberts was speaking about, where the driveway is, right into the roundabout. And you can't make, if you wanted to get them off McCall onto the gateway, you're going to block traffic for days. And we're trying to get traffic off of McCall completely, and to put it on there is going to be going against everything we've been working on for some time now. You know, we had no control over this stuff happening with the school, but we got some control now on this. And if we could do it right, I could get on board if we could do it right, but we've got to do what we've been doing. The place on Hodgeville, a good example of that, he's not allowed to use any part of Hodgeville for his truck traffic. So he is actually waiting to build his building in a break ground.
You mean on Effingham Parkway? Well, it does go out.
It's Hodgeville. He can use that for construction, but he can't use that for truck traffic. So he's having to wait to get on the parkway. So we're making a big effort to get these things off of residential roads. So, you know, if you guys could do something like that and help in those areas, this board has worked extremely hard. I'm proud of everybody here, not just me. Had a lot of things coming up in my district here lately regarding this, but trying to find ways to find that step down, or that marriage between residential and industrial. And some of that is with buffers with berms. Some of it's eliminating some use alongside. You don't want recycling plants and smokestacks and all that beside somebody's home, you know, just like you wouldn't want it beside your home. So I mean, I don't mind working with you on something like that, but I would like us to, as a board, if you guys are on board with it, I'm just one of 5, work on something that would be more in line with what we've been approving, what we're trying to do, protect our residents, protect these school kids, protect the traffic, and keep things moving forward. It's going to, you know, we just want a nice place to live. We can reside together, but it just has to be done differently. And it's like a large amount of square footage right there in the corner of it. I mean, that's the third thing. You guys are going to want a variance in the hopes that the ones across the street's going to go industrial. You know, what if they don't go industrial?
I think didn't we get a call on how the ordinance read about the variance?
Yes, and there's a variance application was submitted for.
Okay.
But that would be something for the future if you wanted to do that. But I'd be willing to talk about that if you guys are okay with that, or we can move forward as is. But as I see, we're really trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We probably need this, but this is in the wrong place.
I
think it's in a good spot.
Well,
It is
It's
a good
surrounded by
spot.
industrial.
well,
Yes,
it is. You got the creek, and I must know our staff likes the creek too as a cutoff. I don't have a problem with that as long as we can protect our area, get the traffic off of there, get it on the gateway, and then we can work some of these things out where we're actually doing both. We're giving land rights, we're protecting our people, protecting that school area, and you know, the whole 9 yards.
So, I mean, you started off by potentially thinking about a table. I think that's probably a good move at this point. And I think
If you guys are okay with that.
The
I think
chance,
so.
if there's any opportunity to get on the gateway. But
That would help so
that
much.
would
Help so much.
make it a much smoother. I mean, personally, not to agree with Mr. Blakey, but I mean, it's surrounded by industrial.
And that's why I can see
Yeah,
working
but I
through
understand
something
Roger's
as long as
point,
it's.
getting the traffic off McCall. We're trying to keep any of this warehouse stuff owns to state routes is what we're trying to do.
Truck
or
routes,
Truck routes.
truck
And,
routes and state routes.
if we're going to be putting more on McCall, we need to try to y'all need to try to come out on the gateway somehow.
One thing I do want to mention is that, like mentioning multifamily, I know, and I can tell you what the design standards say, but multifamily, just figuring out the traffic is going to be 800 trips a day. Based on what we can get in there.
Well, I was thinking about that because after we eliminate the truck traffic, we should free up some of that.
We should,
hopefully.
you're right, but
That
when
would
I'm
be
sitting here thinking about
you know,
10 trucks versus 800 cars.
Yeah.
A lot,
and-
depends on what you want to be beside.
Yeah,
you know.
so I do think that there's a way that we could come. I'd like to propose to county manager that perhaps the commissioner for this district and maybe another commissioner, Mr. Chairman Corbett or somebody, along with the prospects, get together for an hour or two one day and hammer out some of these
Be
things.
more than willing to do that.
All right.
And I'll speak for myself just to give, I think that's a great idea. And I hate to even use the cliche term, it's biblical, splitting the baby. With this property being surrounded, we owe it to these property owners to work something out, but we owe it to everybody around there to do it right. And I think this meeting will facilitate that. If there's going to be a little give and take, to finish this area off
We're open
and
to
be,
accepting
and
the table.
get everybody whole. So that's my opinion.
My only question would be, y'all only have one planning board meeting a month, right?
Correct.
Correct.
So it'll be 30 days roughly.
We can
30 days.
table it to
Yeah,
whenever.
we can set a date and table
But
it.
can we table to a meeting when you don't have planning board?
Oh, yeah.
You can?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you mean
Yeah,
us
it
hearing
could
planning
be,
board?
sure.
Yeah.
We only hear planning board once a month. We have
So that's
two
what I'm
meetings.
saying.
Yeah.
Does
I
it-
thought you meant
Because
after
this-
planning.
Table in case
This
you do
would
old
show
business.
up under old business, unfinished business. So, which is outside of the planning board
Which is the
agenda.
5
So,
PM.
How much time do you think you need to work on
I mean, I
the
think we can get
access?
together pretty quick. Now, one issue is I did mention that they were meeting with Bro. I don't know when that meeting's going to actually happen. Perhaps there could be a call that was made. As soon as we kind of get our ducks in order, we'll let the county manager know. And I think we can be flexible to get up here as soon as possible.
It's a very small parcel. I would hope they would. I don't know what else they would do with an acre and a third.
We would hope.
Say this, for the upcoming meeting on the 19th, the deadline for that submittal is Thursday.
Correct.
So maybe we should do,
The
First.
the second.
CJ, did you hear that part?
Yes.
So, one point of clarification. I think we're moving towards the commission tabling. Don't I have an opportunity to table as well?
You
if we
do.
don't have
I
it
think
done
we
by the
have
19th?
one and you have one.
Okay, so I would say for the 19th.
I think that's a little soon because you would have to have something submitted by tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah, so I might want to move it. That's why I was trying to catch you back there.
You'd have to have an answer tomorrow.
Yeah, you'd have to be moving really quick.
so go to the first meeting in October, which will also be a planning board meeting anyway, so.
Yeah,
But you'd be old business. You'll
Old
be-
business.
it'd
at
be
5
old
o'clock
business
session.
at first.
Yeah. And I'll tell everybody, so everybody knows that's the 5 PM meeting.
That would be the third. Did you want to table or you want me to table this one?
I would like to use your table if possible.
I make a motion, we table this issue until October 3rd.
Second.
October 3rd.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor, Commissioner Burdette, and a second by Commissioner Floyd to table this item until, what was the date?
October 3rd.
October 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed likewise.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
So tabled. What was that date again?
Third.
So just for everyone in attendance, that will be heard at the 5 PM meeting on October 3rd.
That meeting is that public.
Just like this. Yeah, sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
It'll just be
Okay,
earlier,
thank you. Yeah, it'll just, yeah,
be earlier.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is coming up. This is my favorite.
Usually they'll give a chance. to
We've
speak.
had the, technically, we've had the public hearing.
Mr.
I
Chair,
won't be the chair. The chairman will probably be back, so I will not be chairing that meeting.
if I may on that too, I believe that at that meeting, they will also be on the agenda for the variance, correct? So there will be a public hearing related to this that evening. Of course, they will be separated and we could amend the agenda to join them. So that
Then we
You
would need
don't-
to move this back. We couldn't move. planning
we
board
could
up to
move,
5.
but because we wouldn't want you to come in at 5, not be able to speak on it, and then it comes up again at 6 because there's a separate item that they have to get approved associated with this. So there will be notification as to when it is, but there will be an opportunity to speak on this regarding this property that evening, for sure. So long as they don't withdraw. their variance.
Historically, yeah, that is correct. I mean, if there's a hot item like this that's been tabled once or twice, we may not let 20 people get up and say the same thing over and over, but if we have a couple spokespeople from one side, we'll give them an opportunity to, voice their opinion. So they're, like the county manager said, there'll be an opportunity to speak.
But I do have concerns about these two items being so far apart and they're so connected.
Should we just do an agenda amendment?
Technically, the variance is being advertised for 6:00.
It's
Right.
just, it is what it is. I mean, it's too different.
Well, we could move this on the agenda to the
Correct.
yeah, that's what I would do. That would
Yeah.
make it at 6:00.
Right.
And probably easier for y'all to get here.
Prior to the meeting or on the agenda, or will that? I just don't want to create confusion with the public. I know. And I'm sorry, we're working through some technicalities here.
We'll put it on the agenda as unfinished business because that's what it is. At the agenda.
Approval.
You can
Okay. So just, I'll attempt to
I'll let him,
clarify.
you want me to explain it? Okay.
Yeah, go Tim.
So, just because of the technicalities of the way the agenda is set up, so this will go on the 5 o'clock meeting, right? But they will vote to then move it, since the variance is being heard at 6 o'clock, to move it to the 6 o'clock portion of the meeting. So both of them can be heard together and there can be a public hearing at the same time. So, it will show up in the agenda at 5 o'clock. One of these gentlemen will make a motion to move it to 6 o'clock so that you all can have a public hearing. It can all be done at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely certain. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, but it's state law with the way things have to be advertised. We have no choice to do it that way.
6, yes.
Yeah, and we need to let these folks know.
Yeah, we,
Ms. Godlove, if you have any more questions or anything, you can
Commissioner Day.
email me or give me a call if you need clarifications on some things
just make them sure.
or have any more questions.
How did they get separated like that? Because typically they do
It looks
track
back to
together.
back. Yeah, I was curious about that myself.
It just happened that way.
The original submission of concept plan did not show buffers. Once
Oh.
I clarified that for sketch plan.
They realized as they needed a very, okay. Okay. All right, very good. So we'll pick this one. Technically, we'll pick it back up at 5, but we'll kick it down the road till 6. All right, No. All right, we're gonna move on. So we're obviously not having a second reading. Item number 2, we'll move on to item number 3. The planning board recommends approving an application by Morgan Corp. For a sketch plan located at Old River Road for Morgan Corp. Office, Zone B2, map number 329, parcel numbers 41B in the first district.
Good evening. The applicant is proposing a 10,000 square foot office and 20,000 square foot storage. Access will be along Old River Road and aligns with the SPIP entrance. Per our ordinance, the buffer along Old River Road is 10-foot vegetative buffer, while the buffers to the north are 15 feet and the buffers to the west and south are 30 feet. Water and sewer for this project will be septic. And per EOM's review, they will need to provide a will serve letter to the county from the IDA for the potable water service. Planning board and staff are recommending approval.
This is not a public hearing. Any questions or comments on the board?
It's pretty straightforward. I believe I'd seen something like this before. That, I don't have any issue with it. It lines up with the port side entrance. I mean, it looks like it's that parcel perfect. The proposed use fits in that B2 zoning.
Yes, sir.
Looks pretty straightforward to me.
Make
I'll entertain a motion on that.
Hang on a second. Let me see that. I make a motion, we approve the sketch plan,
Second,
alternate 1.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Floyd and a second by Commissioner Burdette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being, the ayes carry unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to number 4. Planning board recommends denying an application by Brandon Pazynski for a variance from section 74.8 located at 124 Maple Drive to allow for class 8 parking at a residence zoned AR1, map number 450D, parcel number 34A in the second district. Turn that over to Ms. Danigan.
The applicant is requesting, yes, to park a class 8 vehicle at his residence. Essentially, he wants the trailer to accompany the tractor onto his private residence for parking. This is approximately 1.5 miles from the nearest truck route and does not fit the definition of variance in that it more than identifying a private hardship addresses an ordinance that covers all county roads, truck route and otherwise. Staff and planning board recommend denial.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll open a public hearing. Anyone that wish to speak for the rezoning?
I would like to say a few things. I'd like
Okay,
to,
If you could just state your name for the record.
my name is Brandon Pazynski.
Okay.
The reason why I want to do this is because I do not want to use, the county roads for, just cutting through. I just want to go to my residence and park. Just like the guy said earlier, using the Effingham Parkway, and it'll be right next to Goshen once it opens up, and I'll use that parkway to access Jimmy DeLoach and 16 and major state highways. But the reason for this is so I can park it at my house.
Is it just the
Oh, what?
tractor?
It's a tractor and trailer. The reason why, I'd understand it if it was just bobtail, but it would be a dump trailer. And it's
What
not
trailer?
a dump trailer. Oh, and dirt and rock. And that's the purpose of this.
Okay. All right. Well, we may have some questions coming up
No
once we
problem.
get done with the public hearing. Any others wishing to speak for this matter? Anyone speaking against this matter?
Susan Mahaney.
Tom Mahaney.
Or
We live adjacent to the property that's in question. you'll hear some other comments from other people about the weight. If he's just parking his tractor there, dovetailing it in, well, I understand that's acceptable. But to travel down Magnolia off of Goshen is in violation of several ordinances, from what I understand, about commercial traffic, tractor trailers with pulling a load. And we're definitely opposed to that. And it's
And-
right adjacent to our property.
This is a residential road.
Mhm.
And it does mean going down at least 2 residential roads to get in and out.
Sure.
And for him, it's a matter of convenience.
Mhm.
For us, this is our home and has been for over 40 years. And I also have a problem because this gentleman, this isn't the place for it, but came down and accused us of calling the police on him over. We didn't. know
Okay, well,
what.
that's probably not a, yeah, we won't make that a part of this.
All right.
I mean,
And I'm saying there's an.
I understand, I understand.
It's not on our side because we
Mhm.
never called the police on him until he did
Sure.
that. But no, we do not want a tractor trailer next door. That's not residential. We're AR1.
Mhm.
We want to keep it that way.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
My name's Jimmy Blake, here 135 Magnolia Drive off Goshen Road. That truck has got stenciled on the back of that trailer, 71,000 pounds. Maximum load. That's over 35 tons. People walk down that road, people ride bicycles down that road. If he had to stop that truck in a hurry, ain't no way he could stop it. He's already violating the load limit on Goshen Road. Goshen Road's got a sign down there just off of 21 that says no trucks over class 5. There's been signs posted along Goshen Road saying no trucks, strictly enforced. Well, I don't know who's supposed to be enforcing them, but they're not being enforced very good. I can understand him wanting to drive his tractor there. I ain't got no problem with that, none whatsoever. But when he tears up that road hauling that heavy load in there like that, y'all ain't gonna fix that road. Y'all ain't gonna resurface that road like they resurface Highway 21 every 8 or 10 years. Y'all just gonna patch it like you're patching McCall Road. We're gonna have a tore up road. Now, I understand that he wants to, why he wants to park it there. But there's a price for doing business and he's doing business. So I don't think it's right to tear up our roads, endanger our community with a heavy truck like that. I would ask that you deny it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any more wishing to speak against?
I'm Richard Sumner. I live at 110 Magnolia. And when the law was passed for him not to go up down the road, it took an act of Congress to ever stop him. There's a sign down there now that says there's no trucks on Magnolia. So that wasn't being enforced, but it needs to be enforced if you pass this. We don't need that. He's told the neighbors that when he goes to the ports, he fills up a load at night, a full load, and brings it home so he can get into the ports early. That means he's got a heavy truck going and coming all the time. And we got potholes in Magnolia already. And that truck drives fast up and down the road, and the police has been warned. So they'll catch him eventually. But we don't need it, and I'm against it.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else want to speak against this matter? Okay. With that, I'm going to close the public hearing and we can discuss if we got any questions.
Things to add on that.
Okay.
So the county has already been in touch with me. I'm not breaking their laws currently because I've already talked to the head sheriff. And he told me that I can bobtail to the house. For one, I'm not in violation. He just said I couldn't bring the trailer there. And no, I don't bring a load in there, always empty. The same scenario with the dump trailer, it'd be always empty. I understand what Mr. Blakely's saying. You know, you can't stop on a dime. I understand that. I have kids. I have 3 kids. I have a 14-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old. I completely understand.
Sure.
So, and I'm just trying to follow the rules.
Understand.
And I've already been in contact with the local police, so I'm not doing anything I'm not supposed to. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Can I say one other thing?
One other thing, quickly.
Sir, isn't there a sign down there? Excuse me. Isn't there a sign down on Ferguson Road? It says you can't go down Magnolia with the truck.
Correct.
Can he drive his truck and
He
trailer
can
down?
bobtail.
Huh?
He can bobtail under our ordinances. He cannot pull a trailer under our ordinances. He can buy, you can't bring a trailer down the road, but you can bring a truck.
To bring the truck, but he can't bring the trailer.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I don't-
Yep.
This one.
You have any questions? Discussion?
Yeah, just, I've talked to you on the phone. I'll tell you the same thing again. We already created an ordinance so you could take your truck home and get home. We can't have trucking companies in a neighborhood. And, you told me on the phone you wanted to start your own trucking company with your authority. Yeah, but you said you wanted, anyway, I'm just speaking to you. I'm not speaking with you. We can't change the ordinance just to suit one guy that doesn't want to get trailer parking somewhere else. These roads are not designed to carry 80,000 pounds down them. This is neighborhood roads. That's why we have state routes, why we have truck routes. So, unless anybody else has any other thing.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think that totally defeats what we've been trying to do.
Exactly.
And I
Try to
think
be,
I think we've been fair with allowing people to bobtail.
absolutely. And because this, just like you got, that's your livelihood. We want you to be able to get home. But to take a trailer there, that's,
Touch base on what you have to say there, Mr. Deloach. Bobtails if you're doing container work.
Okay, you can take your truck home.
yeah.
That's what we're trying to say.
Truck
You
on,
Take a truck. home.
truck on.
Tractor.
A tracker.
Whatever time it is.
trailer.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, no trailer whatsoever.
I understand that part. I was just saying, like, this is totally different from working at ports, carrying a container home.
There's nothing different than what I said, what you're trying to make it out to. It's point blank, it's trailer. I don't care what kind of trailer it is. You're not bringing it in the neighborhood. Point blank. That's it.
I understand that. Well, I didn't understand that. Okay.
I didn't either.
With that, I'll make a motion for alternative 2, which is deny the request for variance.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. All those opposed likewise, none being, the ayes carry, the motion carries unanimous. That will, we will not discuss, we won't handle number 5, number 6. The planning board recommends approving an application by Betty J. New requesting a variance from Article 3, Section 3.3.1 C located at 202 Green Drive to allow for the placement of an accessory structure zoned AR1, map number 465H, parcel number 42B in the 2nd district.
Yes, the applicant wishes to erect a pole barn to shelter a boat. Because of the angular nature of the backyard, it's impossible to meet the setbacks in this way. You cannot flip it to orientate horizontally.
Excuse me. Can we get the officer to follow them to their car just to be on the safe side, if you don't mind, please? Thank you, sir. Sorry about that.
Currently, an accessory structure needs to be 10 feet away from a residence. The applicant is requesting that this be reduced to about 7 feet to be able to accommodate all of the other required setbacks. Staff and planning board recommend option 1 approval.
Are they gonna get that boat back there?
Helicopter, I don't know.
But anyway.
Yeah.
There's all these trees and the,
Not your problem, right?
that's right.
It may look different now.
Uh-huh. All right, this is a public hearing. I'm going to open it up. Anyone wish to speak for this matter? Okay. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this matter? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing and discuss.
Any comments from anybody?
If there wasn't any outcry from the public.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. Like I said, I don't know how-
It is an odd, I
don't
mean,
have
it
a-
qualifies with the odd shaped lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
I wonder why they laid those lots out like that. I don't know if you noticed those. It's like,
Yeah,
if you look
nice.
at the survey, it's like there's several
There was
like
room to do-
house
to
shaped.
Square it off if they wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know, found it interesting myself.
Western Heights is interesting.
It's true, true. I'd make a motion to approve alternative one, approve the request for a variance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being the ayes carry. And that motion was by Commissioner Burdette, seconded by Commissioner Deloach. Moving on to consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Betty J. New requesting a variance from Article 3, Section 3.3.1C located at 202 Green Drive to allow for the placement of an accessory structure zoned AR1, map number 465H, parcel number 42B in the second district.
Make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Burdette, a second by Commissioner Deloach. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being the ayes carry. Okay, we're already discussed items 8 and 9. We'll move to number 10. The planning board recommends approving an application by Michael and Meredith Clark for a variance from section 3.21.1 located at 892 Brogden Road to allow for occupation of a camper RV during construction of a dwelling zoned AR1, map number 319, parcel number 1D in the third district.
Yes, that is about it. The applicants have an active building permit. They've completed their first inspection. They're requesting 12 months occupation of an RV so that they can live on site during construction.
Very consistent with what we've done in the past. This is a public hearing. Anyone wish to speak for this matter? Anyone wish to speak against this matter? Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve the staff and planning board recommendations.
Okay.
Have a motion by Commissioner Deloach and a second by Commissioner Loper. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise. None being the ayes carry. Moving on to item number 11, second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application by Michael and Meredith Clark for a variance from section 3.21.1 located at 892 Brogden Road to allow for occupation of a camper RV during construction of a dwelling zoned AR1, map number 319, parcel number 1D in the third district.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Deloach, a second by Commissioner Burdette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise, none being, the ayes carry. With that, we have wrapped up the business. Any other business for the board? With that, I'll entertain it.
I'll make a motion
There we go.
to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Deloach, a second by Commissioner Burdette. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed likewise, none being, the ayes carry, and we are adjourned.